Welcome, everyone, much for joining us for this Mentorship Monday with Raheel Perumal, who's with us today. I have had the pleasure of working with Raheel for several years, and she's been one of the amazing mentors that we bring on board to many of our programs. My name's Jayshree Naidu. I'm the CEO of YIDI, which is the Youth Innovation Entrepreneurship Design Institute. And today I'm going to hand over to Raheel. She's going to tell you a little bit more about herself. And please put any of your questions into the chat and we'll get to them a little bit later. Raheel, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jayfree, for that intro, except that you've got my name wrong. Second name wrong, anyway. It's Parul. My surname is Muhammad, but it's wonderful to meet all of you. Some of you may have met before, and some of you have. I definitely know for sure in the Warmix group, I've got some clients there as well. So if any of you, yeah, very, very warm welcome on a cold Joburg day. It was a cold day today for some reason in Joburg. Okay, so let me kick us off. Today I'm talking about go-to-market strategy. And I have put up a slideshow, put it up on slides, just because this subject matter is something that I can get carried away with. So if I don't have any direction, I could be all over the show, talking to strategies. It's kind of my thing. So I have tested, and I think everybody can see my screen is up. And we're talking to strategies, go-to-market strategy in particular. So I'm going to share with you, I think, the top or the 5 key points that any go-to-market strategy should have, and some of the tools that you'll be using in designing your go-to-market strategy, and some tips that I have got from clients like you, small business owners, small to medium-sized business owners that have shared their success and some of the failures. I think all of us have had that. Going to market, we're so excited to get our products or services out there. We don't take it through a trial or testing period. We just, try and bombard the marketplace. And yeah, sometimes that doesn't quite work out. And sometimes, well, it does work out. So let me get into it. Okay. So hopefully at the end of this session, you'll understand a little bit more about a GTM, go-to-market strategy. And I'm going to talk to 5 key points. This is not the entirety of a GTM, but it's certainly the key points of a good GTM. And then I'll share some of the tools that I use when I'm designing GTMs for clients, and also my own, and some real life examples. So, firstly, what is a go-to-market strategy? A go-to-market strategy is about taking your business, your new business, or your new product or service to a new marketplace, right? So you're in startup phase, you're starting a new business, you're taking it to a market that you've identified, or you're taking a new product or service to a current market and a new market, which could be in a new geographical area. Maybe you're trading in one area right now, but you want to trade somewhere else. And that needs its own kind of checklist, its own strategies. So why do we do GTMs in particular? Firstly, it saves us time and money. It doesn't bring us running back to the drawing board all the time, because sometimes we, failing, recovering, learning, applying, improving, etc. So having kind of your checklist will save you time and money. Also, it helps focus on the right customers. And I was watching, I think it was Dipuo who was here the last time, talking about marketing and PR. And I watched the YouTube video. I couldn't make it for that session. But Jayshree had said something about, and probably this is not verbatim, so please excuse me, but she said it's not just about the audience or your customers, it's about the target or the right customer, the right audience. You must know who you're selling to. And that's what this is. It's not about just blasting our products or services out there. And having this plan will make sure that your chances of sales is higher. It will increase that potential of sales because we're targeting the right audience now. So that's GTM in a kind of a nutshell. Right. So the first thing is your ideal customer profile. It's such an important exercise. We say, oh, our product or service targets mums or professionals or gym goers or uh, brides or whatever it is, right? But you should know that. And your ideal customer profile or ICP will describe the type of customer who gets the most value from your product, right? And if we perceive value, we will then purchase that. When you are doing this, I also want you to kind of drop or throw away that owner hat, the business owner hat, and put on the consumer hat, especially when you're doing GTMs. It's important that you pivot and you almost see it from a consumer point of view. Is this valuable? Will this give value? Will I get the value that is promised in there? So there's a template. It is called the ideal customer profile template. I've put these names in here because they're easy to Google, and most of these templates are free to download. I think nearly all of them, because I did check it first before I put it onto the slides. It's called an ICP template, and it will take you through how to profile your ideal customer. So you're almost kind of filling the blanks, a very plug and play kind of template. Right, so some of the examples. So there's this bakery, and they've got two types of profiles right now that they're testing. Well, have tested. So they've got, so this is for the 6 to 8 a.m. So you can see they're being very particular about the timelines. They want to target moms and kids for ready-made lunchboxes on the way to school. Pick up and off you go to school. And the coffee combos for office workers based on where they are. So for the business people, coffee combos, and for moms and kids. So again, profiling the customer to a certain product. Then there's this designer who does eco streetwear, and they are not targeting the students. They are channeling through a campus influencer. There are plenty of campus influencers or influencers that are in that space on campus life. And so they're promoting it through them. So again, understanding the customer profile and what does that look like? Okay, my tip for you on ideal customer profile, one segment and go deep down. So really explore and exhaust that before you start scaling. Understand what is working, what is not working. Did we get that profile right? Did we miss something in the profile? What has changed since we created the profile and went to market? Because things could have changed in that time. So yeah, just be wary of that. Okay, so that's your ideal customer profile. The next is value proposition. Anybody who does strategy with me knows that value proposition is always my biggest talking point. Why must we choose you? What value are you offering? What problem are you going to be solving that I am willing to pay for as a consumer? How will it benefit me? That is your value proposition. It is really it should be a very clear statement. Okay, the tool for this is a value proposition canvas. Again, if you Google it, there's a free template, easy to download, very easy to use. Most of these templates come with guiding questions. So they will kind of tell you this is what you need to fill in. Value proposition canvas should result in a value proposition statement. Right, some examples here. Accounting firm that specializes in tax, they're not listing all their tax services. They're saying, we will help you avoid SARS fines and penalties. Okay, so that's a problem they're solving, avoiding penalties and fines. And of course, as a business owner, that's something you want to avoid. So yes, you'll get value from it. And a mobile car wash, just to customers within a certain radius of where they're based, they're saying, We will come to you and save you 2 hours. Again, problem they're solving is a time, because everybody now wants to save time, especially travel time, especially city center travel time is ridiculous. So they're saying, we're going to save you time. We'll come to you. That's a mobile car wash. So I guess my big tip here is that don't sell features, sell outcomes, sell impact. That's what you're selling. That's what you're selling, and we see it all around us. And the Apple brand does this quite well. They don't tell us about the features, how light is their phone, or their MacBook Pro, how big is it, or how big the screen is. No, they talk about innovation and tech. That's their value proposition, and that's what we buy into. We buy into that brand because of their value proposition. We hardly even see like the weight of it or any of those things, those are secondary things that we will look at. So again, selling outcomes, not features. That's with number 2, your value proposition. Oh, channel, so important, very, very important. So how do we reach our customers? What channels are we using to reach them? We must first know, where are they hanging out? On the digital, in the digital world, where are they? Which social media channels are they on? And in the public space, I guess, or like, are there expos, exhibitions, networking events, etc., etc.? And then once we know where they're hanging out, how then do we connect with them? So very, very important. And different channels, different communication, I suppose, methodologies or strategies. So my recommendation tool for this is it's called a communication channel prioritization table or template. Or for me, I use the business model canvas with a focus on the right-hand side of it. So the right-hand side of a business model canvas will also help you identify the channels of what we need to use to get to that target audience. Okay, so some of the examples, meal delivery company, they're using WhatsApp groups specifically for their meal delivery. Interior designer using Instagram to showcase before and after pics and the stories around that. Okay, so my tip here is to start with the channels your customers already trust and use. And I'm emphasizing your customers, not you. Because a lot of us tend to do that. We start with the channels, I guess, that we are comfortable using. One of my clients said to me, I don't want to use any other channel except WhatsApp and Facebook. And I'm like, well, we're not going to find our target clients there. But that's his comfort place. That's the ones that he uses. He uses WhatsApp and Facebook, and that's his place of comfort. But our target audience is not there. So remember, again, it's the channels your customers use, not the ones that you are comfortable in. And I know how tough it is to go and learn to use a new channel, or sometimes just just the whole anxiety, especially if you have some sort of social anxiety, of creating a TikTok video or a YouTube video where you have to appear in front of a camera, or it's, yeah. So there's a lot happening in that space. But it's not about you, it's about where your customers go and hang out. Okay, so that's number 3. Okay, sales and pricing. So important. Your customer is always going to start, and again, remember, if you put on your consumer hat now, just think about something that you want to purchase. The first thing you're going to go and do is Google it. You're going to go and research and find out, who's the service providers or suppliers of that product or service. And then you're going to do a little bit of research about them and understand a little bit about that company or that business. So pricing is the positioning of what you sell, the value of it. Like, how do we showcase value in what we sell? So the tool to help you with this is called a sales process map. this template will break it down for you. Oh, and you know what? Some of these templates are not, they're not easy to use, but what you get out of it is really, really great. So please just be a bit patient. And sometimes you're going to read through it the first time and you're going to say, oh my gosh, this is so complicated. Go through it the second time or the third time, and you will find that it's not as bad as that first look. And also be patient with yourself, because these are tools that I would, probably use every day, but that's part of my business. This is not these kind of tools may not be part of your everyday business. So you're going to be patient with yourself. If you have a strategist, a business advisor, or a business mentor, I suggest when you have completed any of these templates to maybe run it past them, or even in your network, if you just have somebody who can, kind of help you review it and make sure you get the most of it. Okay, so pricing, very, very important. Right, so a photography business. So as much as you can list your line items and saying, these are a list of services and products that we offer, and these are the line items, there's also some value in bundling things and offering packages. So a 500 Rand package, a 1,500 Rand package, a 3,000 Rand package. For an internet cafe, there's a pay as you use kind of option, and then there's a monthly pass. And again, consumer hat on, you see these I suppose, sales kind of gimmicks everywhere. I think the most familiar one is probably with the pharmacies, where they got the 2+1. You buy two and you get one free. One of my favorites, by the way. Especially like when budgets are running a bit low. So just understand that, again, putting your consumer hat on when you're listing your prices, understanding what value can you get. How can I increase my basket size? How can I increase the size of that invoice? How do I package things together? And some people will just want to buy one thing instead of a bundle, and that's also going to be okay. But how do we position our products from a sales point of view, right? So the consumer can see the value in that. Right. So remember, pricing is about value, not just the cost. So it's not just about margins and saying, well, look, whatever it's out in the marketplace, whether it's competitors or other promotions running, as long as I hit X margin, or my GP is X or X percentage, that's all I'm interested in. Yes, it should be a big consideration. But when you're going to market, remember, going to market, we're not yet established. We want to start establishing our businesses in the marketplace. And usually you're starting to do that by running some sort of promos or bundle offerings or something like that, just to kind of get feet into the door. And once they can see the value, if you increase your prices, they're still going to come back and they're going to let other people know about it. So, yeah. So a go-to-market pricing strategy is as different to a established business strategy, pricing strategy. And I want you to bear that in mind. It's very different. Okay, so that is sales and pricing. That's number 4. Okay, and the last one I'm talking to is, now that we know exactly what we're selling, what value we're proposing, our value proposition, we got our pricing, our positioning, we've got all of that kind of ticked off, we've done all of that. Now we want to launch. And here you need some checklists. So you're going to need a launch checklist. So it's a business launch checklist and a feedback loop, some sort of I guess, like a customer survey, some sort of a survey, but something where you get some tool where you can get feedback. Okay. So a launch plan is about getting your business or your new product and service out to whichever audience. And that feedback loop, for me, is so important, because it's going to help us with improvement so that and usually this is a soft launch. It's called, so in the business world, we're calling it a soft launch before we go to a hard launch. So this is really soft launch. We're kind of testing everything out. And whatever gaps there are, we're going to be closing it during this time. Okay, so yeah, a launch checklist and some sort of a feedback loop or a feedback form, customer survey form, whatever it is, specifically to your business or that product or services that's going to market. Okay, so if you're an app designer in beta phase, we could probably, try and get like up to, well, for this particular example, there are 50 freelancers also in that space and beta tested with them to know that you would then get feedback. Hair salon wants to launch a loyalty card. So again, this is just not launching the business, launching a product. So this product is a loyalty card, and they're going to go ahead and test that loyalty card process or program with 10 clients. So again, keeping it kind of lean and going through a testing process, getting feedback, and then say, well, okay, uh, got a great rating here, but here we didn't get a good score or whatever it is. And then how do we go and fix that? So soft launch is a great time to do that. Actually, a lot of things. To test, did we get the right audience? Is this the right audience? Did we profile it correctly? And how did they receive that product? How did they feel about it? How user friendly is it, etc. You know what questions you want to ask on there, on that feedback form. So when you get that, then just go and apply some of those findings, not some of it, all of the findings, go and apply it. And then once you've done that, now you're ready to go to market. Now you can hard launch into the marketplace. And my tip here, launch small. Again, reminding you, launching small. Test it very fast. Don't have a six-month testing or a 12-month testing. Or, for me, I think, and this is also product and business dependent, right? Some need that. Like food, cosmetics, they need to go through a testing period. They need to go through a lab process. So that may take some time. So anything that you're manufacturing may need to go through either some sort of a quality criteria, if it's SABS, ISO, etc., etc. So those are some of the things that will then extend that timeline. So launch small, test fast as you can, depending on, and then improve on the go. As you are going and you're getting feedback coming in, stop, improve, so you can get, so your next product or service out, or your business out to the marketplace, you much better than I guess your soft launch phase. You're now ready to launch. You've ironed out most of whatever mistakes there were, gaps there were. You've gone through the whole trial and error thing. Okay, right. So some of the common mistakes we make: selling to everyone. And this is real life things. And most certainly I am guilty of a lot of this, if not all of this, actually. Selling to everyone. And it's just because, in startup phase, new business, we're so desperate for sales. And we kind of lines start blurring because you got bills to pay, you need to put food on the table. And that does happen. That does happen. And that's some of the reasons why we don't do as well as we thought we would do. Value proposition, again, a little bit blurry, because in our value proposition statement, we're probably putting our passion down in there because it's valuable to us. Again, a reminder to put your consumer hat on, and then what is important to me? What this thing that I really love doing, how will the customer find value in it? Okay. And then relying on one channel, especially your comfort channel, not testing, very important, and ignoring feedback also, common mistakes. And it's not because you really don't want to. Sometimes you just get caught up and I'll get to it. I'll get to it, and then before you know it, it's kind of sitting somewhere collecting dust in some digital folder somewhere. And now you go to market and you start getting complaints or refunds, or you're not procurement ready, because you've not done some of these things. So just some common mistakes. Okay, here's some quick tips. Build your trust in your community. Our first thing always when it comes to go to market is your own network, family, friends, community, neighbors, because you already know them and you're in a trust position. So it's probably easier to sell your product or your offerings to them. WhatsApp for business. It's become a great platform for businesses, WhatsApp. Then understand your pricing. There's local pricing. When I talk to pricing like this, remember there's local pricing. When you're starting, you're competing with the locals around you. And that's usually in a geographical area. And then as you're going to grow, then you talk to pricing at a regional or national. Like, are you on par with other people providing similar services in South Africa? And then there's international pricing. Are you on par with international pricing, whether it's in euros, pounds, USD, whatever it is, right? So just understand that your pricing must be local to whichever area you're in, from community all the way to international. Oh, collaboration. Very nice in startup or in growth in your go-to-market. Collaborations. So just nail salon, hair salon collaboration, coffee shop, bakery collaboration, etc., etc. So those are those kind of opportunities also, just to use somebody who's a bit more established and kind of piggyback off them to get your brand out there. Oh, and the other thing I've learned, I've actually had a stern meeting with a client just before this session, when he said to me that he's going to offer payment terms. He's starting up a new food business. He's going to offer payment terms. No, cash flow is king. Cash is king. In your go-to-market strategy, different from other strategies, we want to get money as we deliver. So if you online, if you e-commerce, you're going to click, you're going to pay, and we are going to deliver. If you get feet into your door, if you're a bricks unit, you're going to come in, you're going to pick out your service or your product or whatever it is, go to the till, and you're going to pay. We don't do payment terms at this stage at this particular strategy. There's no payment terms. It's all about cash. Okay, I think I've spoken enough. I need a big gulp of water now. These are my contact details. If any of you want to chat more or get in touch with me, I'm also, of course, on the Womex Open group. You can DM me through there. And I
Thank
guess
you
now
so much,
time for
Raheel. I
Q&A.
mean, that's amazing. And thank you so much for your time and the effort that you put into the presentation. I mean, I loved what you said. And again, I think that so many of the individuals attending today are just so focused on listening to what you have to say, because there aren't that many questions in the chat yet. But I loved the one statement you made, and this is something we try and train most of the businesses we work on as well, where you said, launch small, test fast, improve on the go. And that's such an important lesson. I mean, even when we teach innovation, we talk about building that ticking clock, because so many individuals want to have everything in place before launching something in their business or a product or service, and then it never ends up happening. So I want to just, get into some of that as well. And Umpile says, can you please show the slide with your contact details? So please, let's have that up as well, Raheel. But I'd love to just your comments on, what are some of the pitfalls that entrepreneurs do get into, especially when they want to try and get everything in place before they actually launch their product?
I think the biggest thing is, or two things, is our passion makes us very impatient, right? So we're so passionate about our product. We know it's or service. We know it's great. Our friends and family has told us that it's really great. Some of them have even paid us for that product or for that service. So if this group likes it, then sure. Why can't everybody else like it? And it is then that this is my baby. I'm going to get it out to the marketplace. The people around me love it. No, sometimes the people around us are just being really kind because they love us. But you need to go through the testing process and you need to be patient with yourself and go through the process. These big corporates that we want to work with one day, already working with, and definitely want to grow into big businesses, they are going through this process every time they're launching products. Every time they're launching something new, they are going through ideation phase. They're going through, they're designing go-to-market strategies on really big scale. There's nothing stopping us from doing that, again, except probably for our own impatience to get out to the market, to start generating sales, probably pay some overdue bills. Um, yeah, but I usually find that a lot.
Thank you for that response, Raheel. I mean, definitely. And we say it all the time, they say when you want funding, you go to friends, family, fools. But sometimes when you want advice as well, it's difficult to get the real feedback from those closest to you. So sometimes you want to be able to test with an actual client base. And that testing and validation of your idea is so important and of your product. But what I loved in terms of what you said is you don't have to wait for to have everything in place, because the whole point,
Mm.
even with the lean startup methodology, is test, reiterate, validate, and bring the
Yes.
learnings back into your product and then launch again. So I think we've lost some of that in the process. And the other thing I really enjoyed from what you presented on is where don't give away your products on credit. Cash is king. And there are quite a few platforms. So entrepreneurs can benefit from pre-ordering type services, get people
Mm.
to pay for your product before you launch so that you can also test what the demand is. And the power behind some of the strategy tools that you mentioned, like the business model canvas, your competitors will also guide you on what is needed out there, because we're always thinking, our competitors, we can't share what we're doing. And a lot of individuals might assume they can do what we do, but there is just so much secret sauce behind everything we do. So, look for guidance from your competitors. So thank you for that. I'm going to go into the chat box just to see if there are any other comments. But in the meantime, Raheel, feel free to respond to that as well. Okay, so any of you that would like to ask a question to Raheel, feel free to put your hands up and then we can take those questions. I see your contact details. Raheel's put it up. Everyone, I will share Raheel's contact details when we send the recording for the session. So you'll get Raheel's contact details as well. Nirasha says, start now, get perfect later. Such gems shared today. Thank you, Nirasha. We always love having you on the line with us, especially from the UK. So we appreciate your time. And Mbali says, thank you, Raheel, for this informative presentation. What is the reasonable period for testing process as a service provider?
Oh, it's very hard to say if I don't know what particular service you're in and who's your target audience. And I don't think there's any kind of fit for it. But I think if you kind of start working on a go-to-market plan, it will start informing you that I need so much of time for this. I need so much of time for that. I need so much of time for that. And sometimes it can be 4 to 6 weeks. Other times it can be 4 to 6 months because you also will need resources, especially if you're a solopreneur or you really have a small team. A lot of your time and energy goes into running your daily ops. You may only have a little bit of time every day or every week to work on a go-to-market strategy and all the kind of or the checklist that's involved there. So it's very hard to pinpoint a timeline. Sorry, but I hope that
Thanks.
makes sense.
Thanks, Raheel. I think for me it makes sense. I'm not sure if it makes as much sense for you, but you are welcome to share your comments in the chat. But while you're thinking about that, if it answered your question, we have another question from Ashni. She says, what is the ideal payment terms if you are a small SMME and dealing with corporates?
I think we're all going to have a giggle because we know dealing with corporates, we don't set payment terms. Unfortunately, we are held hostage. Um, Sorry, Ashley, but it really is the truth. There are some corporates, however, who are getting better in terms of writing their policies. They are getting a bit better with designing specific payment policies and terms for SMEs at certain thresholds. So they may have, instead of your normal 30, 60-day kind of payment terms, they could possibly have a 7 or 14-day, but that's again, I'm kind of generalizing, but I do know there are some corporates who already have activated these kind of policies. But for most part, we are held hostage by big corporate and their payment policies.
Thanks, Raheel. I mean, we deal with quite a few large corporates, and it is quite interesting because it does vary. And sometimes, as a SMME, you've got to manage your cash flow effectively in order to almost be able to deliver in advance of receiving payments, but on the presentation of a purchase order. Because the first time you deal with a large corporate, sometimes the onboarding process might take slightly longer, but thereafter, every payment cycle can come down right to 7 days, like Raheel mentioned, sometimes 14 days, and then look at the contract that you receive because it could be anything from 7 days to 60 days. But with SMME and paying SMMEs, the best practice is to pay within 30 days. But it varies from corporate to corporate. So please look at that. Mbali says, thank you. She's got her answer. So I want to see if there are any other questions in the chat. Thank you, Raheel, for sharing. Love the gems you're sharing. We love Raheel as well. And that's one of the reasons she's one of our technical experts and mentors on our programs. So thank you, Raheel. I mean, for those of you that are joining us on YouTube as well, follow to see other videos from Mentorship Mondays. But Raheel, I also want to just hear your views in terms of pricing. So you chatted about pricing, and then you also mentioned quite a few templates. I think I'd like to ask on behalf of the businesses as well, can we share the links to those templates after this
Hmm.
presentation? And will you share that with me so I
Yes.
can share it when we're sharing the video as well? Luwazi has a question. How important is it to use customer surveys, product market test reports, and survey reports in the fundraising process? Is there a model template that one can use which can be used as part of the pitch deck? You can also refer to the question in the chat, Raheel, if it's too detailed.
Well, actually, I mean, I guess the first thing I would want to know is that are you going to market with fundraising as a service? Um, and again, I think it's not quite or maybe not quite the business type or the product or service, but it's the go-to-market methodology that can be applied to almost anything. And yes, including fundraising, right? So just apply it to that. The methodology is sound. A GTM strategy is a tried and tested tool. It's not just, even when I do it, I use all these tools when I help my customers or my clients with their GTMs because it's tried and tested tools. So will it work with fundraising or a fundraising process? I don't see why not. I can't. I think my brain is a little bit fried this Monday afternoon. I can't think of anything right now. But yeah, of course,
So Luwazi, Sorry, Raheel. So, Luwazi, you're welcome to unmute as well in a little bit so that you can clarify. Mbali, I see your hand is up. So, please feel free to unmute and ask a question. So, for those of you on the line, if you'd like to speak and not just get your question asked by me, feel free to put your hand up and I will ask you to unmute. So, Mbali, feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, thank you so much for recognizing me and giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again, Raheel, for such an informative presentation. Okay, I would like to ask on point number 4 that you spoke about in sales and pricing. Okay, I'm an electrical service provider in installing the backup systems, you know. So now, as a small business trying to get into the market, getting like being exposed out there, in moments where you realize that a specific market is driven by the price, you know, so of which at some point you get just like so shocked that, okay, if they're working on this pricing, then the process of like delivering whatever services that you have to like to give out there, are those expenses covered, you know, because now this because I provide services to homeowners, business owners, the estate agents, you know, when they sell the houses, they require the certificate of compliance, you know. So now in situations like that, where you see that this specific market is more like driven by pricing and due to like being new in the market, but even the prices that you get there, they are just like too low. You know, I can't say even that they are so reasonable. They are just like below, you know, because there are some expenses that are now not accounted for. So in situations like that, how do you deal with such conditions?
Thank you for that, Mbali. And yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I think, you know, when if I'm faced with a problem like this, my advice as a strategist, I guess now would say let's just go back to our value proposition canvas and let's just make sure that we've profiled our customers correctly, because in the value proposition canvas, we talk to the services that we offer, of course, or products or services. We talk to our customer profile, and it is from there that we start then looking at what the pains and the gains are, and we craft our value proposition from there. So I guess my thing would, or the question mark for me would be, did we profile correctly? You know, is that if that market is not willing to pay for the value that we are offering, is that the right market? And that would kind of be, and also without knowing anything about your business, to say we need to take a few steps back on the GTM and maybe go to the value proposition and just refresh that. You may find that maybe we didn't profile quite correctly. And that's very high level advice from me, just for that. I hope that helps you a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Yes,
so
it
much,
really helps.
Raheel. And sorry, Ambali, I'm talking over you. I'm just having a problem with my microphone at the moment. So I just want to check with a question that we had from Luwazi. I hope your question was answered, Luwazi. Feel free to just unmute if you don't think it was, and if you'd like to get further clarity on your question. Pilo gives a great suggestion in the chat as well. My experience in dealing with big corporates is to engage with them directly regarding payment terms that go beyond 30 days. They usually can accommodate SMMEs. Totally agree. And I think one of the things I was referring to is the initial onboarding process might take longer than anticipated. But you are absolutely right, Pilo. You can actually discuss this with your client once you enter into that contract and you issue your invoice should also state your payment terms. And most large corporates stick to that because it's part of the procurement process that they have to report effectively on how they are paying their SMMEs and engaging with them. So let's see if there are any other questions or comments in the chat. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Very often our facilitators assume that this is just the Women on the Womex program on the line with us, but we do have gentlemen joining us as well, so welcome. If you have any other questions or comments for Raheel, please feel free to put your hands up and then I'll ask you to unmute and you can ask your question or remember to put it on the chat. Raheel, are there any other comments from you with regards to some of the questions and comments we've received from the individuals on the line with us today? I think everyone's loved it. So well done. You know, these are important topics. And the one thing before you respond that I would like to share, we have a lot of small businesses on the line with us. And very often, as small business, we don't think it's important for us to focus on a strategy. You know, things like a business model canvas that you refer to and that we try and teach on all of our programs, or customer gains and pains. You know, it sounds like abstract concepts sometimes to small business. But I found, having worked in corporate and having worked with other larger SMMEs, sometimes it's even more important for smaller businesses to have a strategy in place and a working strategy that they actually use as a business tool. And it's not something you do as part of being on an accelerator or because you think you need to include it in your pitch deck. It needs to be something that you actually live by and you change and you tweak. It's almost like a CV that you would do for
Yes.
yourself when looking for a
Yes.
job.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to keep that business model canvas up to date. So if a new competitor enters the market, you need to update that. If your pricing changes, it needs to be updated. If there's a new channel, you need to include that. I mean, how many of you have taken the time to see what impact AI is having on your business or ChatGPT or new competitors entering the market? So that for me, you know, strategy is a key component in every development program. So Raheel, comments from you, and if there aren't any other questions from the floor, I will close the session in a few minutes. I think there's just one comment that has come in. Alice says, thanks for the insight. I've learned from the best in terms of individual client payments. Previously, client used to order the CVs and coaching services and never collect, neither pay for them. So I had to change my strategy by letting them pay first. But it was not a pleasant experience at all. So trust doesn't apply everywhere. Very valid comment, Alice, and thanks for sharing. Raheel, over to you. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts and then I'll just do a closing and thank you for joining us as well. So over to you, Raheel.
Okay, so Alice, thank you for that. And again, we probably have not profiled our customers quite well. I also want to talk a little bit about your corporate customer. Your corporate customer is not your tier one customer at go-to-market. Your corporate, your bigger customers are usually in your growth strategies, not your go-to-market strategies. Your go-to-market strategies are usually the smaller, medium-sized businesses or individuals, etc. By the time we want to get to corporate, remember we need to have built a reputation, historical successes, etc., etc. We need to have a really good client base so we can showcase that in our portfolio or profiles to corporates. And when you're there, you should be cash flow healthy. So if they're not budging on payment terms, at least you have sufficient cash flow to help you carry that 30-day kind of agreement. I would not normally, again, depending on your business model or your business type, I would not have big businesses as a client profile in your go-to-market strategy. So I want you to understand the difference between go-to-market strategies and growth strategies, very different kind of strategies and approaches. And yes, Jayshree, I totally agree with you that doesn't matter what I have done business models for companies doing over 100 million. Still go in and do a business model for them and keep it refreshed. You have to keep your strategy up to date. And what is a strategy? You don't need to have a document. I had company small clients who said, please design a blue ocean strategy for me, or a McKinsey, or a this or a that, and pulling out all these names, which I can do. But you don't understand those models. It doesn't apply to your business yet. When you get to your growth phases, and then you say, right, this is a strategy. I'm going to be using a blue ocean strategy because it talks to my vision for the business, talks to my goals for the business. But right now, even if you just have a notebook and a pen and you're writing down your goal for the week, for the month, for the year, however it is, just start documenting it and ticking it off or tracking it. Just start. And I think that's my best advice that I can give. Thank you.
Thank you, Raheel. And if that's the best advice you can give, that's amazing advice. I love it. I just want to share, everyone that knows me on the line or has been listening to some of our talks know I love telling stories. And recently, I procured the services of a young graphic designer. And she actually places watermarks on all of her designs. And sometimes when you're so rushed, you don't see it. And then I sent it off and we actually used it. And then she sent a message saying, I see you've used my design, but I'll remove the watermark and resend it. And I said, I'm so sorry. We normally don't deal with designers that use watermarks because we just have our own designers. And she said, no, and I said, don't apologize. This is amazing. This is a way of protecting your asset as well, because whatever you do, remember, it's your collateral. So thank you so much, Raheel. I really appreciate your time today with us. And please, if there's anyone that would like to engage directly with Raheel, feel free to do that. And please join us again for Mentorship Monday. We'll be doing this every Monday with amazing, amazing technical experts like Raheel. So Raheel, thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining us. And we'll be in touch soon. Bye, everyone. Bye, Raheel. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
All right, thank you everybody for a great, for all the input, for the comments, and for actually just showing up. I really appreciate it. Have a good evening ahead, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.